Welcome to the People Behind Property podcast, where we explore the people behind the industry and, more importantly, where it's heading. Today's conversation sits right at the intersection of real estate and technology, which I'm really excited about, especially with AI and everything else. Because whether or not we like it or not, AI and automation are here. They're no longer coming. It's actually here. And the person we've got today is an absolute visionary in this space. The question for agents, property managers, business owners isn't if they adopt it, it's how they will use this technology moving forward for performance, to reduce risk, and ultimately deliver a better experience for clients and customers. My guest today is someone who lives and breathes this space, a software developer, rockstar software developer, I like to call him. Developer by trade, problem solver by nature, someone who's focused on building tools that actually help people, not just talk about it, but he actually builds this stuff. More specifically, solving one of the biggest friction points in our industry, which is compliance in rent rolls and rentals, and it's so much detail. So, mate, Petr Tichy, welcome to the People Behind Property.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me. It's been always my dream. I remember the neighbors' days when we used to talk digital and online stuff on the driveways, and now we are in a studio recording.
So there you go. Let's say that straight up front. Peter used to be my neighbour, and I was always in awe of your software engineering and just seeing what you're doing on that tomato site, and and I think you've got quite a reputation globally about some of those things that you were doing.
Good to hear that. Yep.
And, I'll say a little bit more here. So, you've built a platform called Properteasy, which we're going to talk about as well. But you've got extensive background as a software developer, engineer. You've worked with a lot of major organisations like Coles and car sales. And before stepping into you're building your own product, working with your wife, Martine, and you've got a beautiful family as well. You're a professional footballer, and just for these Aussies here, we're talking about soccer, not football. And tell us let's start with that. Let's talk about your soccer career in Czechoslovakia, because that was your job.
Yeah, that was my job. So when I finished school, I signed the first contract when I was about 16.
Yep.
So that was my always dream, to become a professional footballer and make it for living. But I was playing for the second division team, which was a full-time job, but wasn't something that you can retire on. And I had, unfortunately, injury when I was 17, so that sort of slowed me down. And I still made it as a professional footballer, but when I was 24, I was deciding what to do. When my contract was finishing, I had some troubles with the club and decided to take something else on and go overseas, learn English, and that's how we ended up in Australia.
Yeah.
But
did you meet your wife over there?
Yeah, we met in Czech, and we came together as a partners or as a student on a student visa. The plan was always just to stay for 3 months and extend the visa and don't go back until we can speak English. And now, 20 years later, we're here recording podcasts. So that goal was done. And but yeah, slowly from the footballing side, I was always interested in digital. I was always tinkering with internet, how website works together. And slowly got a full-time job, part-time job, full-time job, and spent quite a few years in the marketing world, so building websites for big brands like you mentioned, or Bunnings and Coles, but it was more the marketing side of it, so presentational website where you present the products. Then slowly moved into e-commerce, and then products themselves like car sales or Coles, where we build the online shopping in a big team. So I always was part of football and digital. It's my world.
Yeah, I think you've had a lot more. There's coders, but then there's commercially kind of. You had more commercial lens on things, I think.
Yes, I always was more curious and interested. Who we building this for? What problem does it solve? Not just write a code and go home. I worked actually on a project for 1 year, which wasn't. We never had to talk to the actual customer, so we felt like we're building it for the sake of it, and it bothered me. Why am I writing this code when whose life it's making this easier, right? And so I left that contractor after a while, but since then I was even more deeper into let's build something that helps people save time, save money, make their life easier in some way, and that's when I slowly sort of moved into the building our own products and my own products, and then of course when Martina had the issue with compliance, that's when we started digging into it and exactly what it should look like, and that's where it all started.
Yeah. I think it's great. I mean, I'm really excited to just that you've built your own startup really in a lot of ways. So, and I think the fact that it's landed in real estate, I know Martin's been in property management. We'll come back to that. But I suppose in terms of your football career, you were there for 8 years. So you were paid to play, weren't you, for a period of time?
Yes.
Did you travel overseas much with that?
There wasn't, in the second division, there was not many overseas trips, unless it's a pre-season trip or anything like that. But it was I love that lifestyle because you have to be fit, you have to be committed to the team. And so the lifestyle is great. But as I said, second division in Czech is nothing that you can retire on. And unfortunately, I didn't make it overseas or to the first division. But in terms of lifestyle, I always look back and say this was great 8 years. And it teaches you discipline, teaches you commitment, and something that even today I'm still passionate about.
I know you're back playing, you mentioned, but you were coaching for a while.
Yes.
Were you coaching, what types of teams were you coaching in?
So I was coaching in the NPL, mostly assistant roles, but at the sort of below A-League level, and enjoy that. Football is in my blood, so whether coaching or playing, it still gives me the good relief of going away from the computer and spending time on the pitch.
Yep.
And after my last role as a coach, I started playing again for the over 35s down in Beaumaris, and that's been refreshing because my body still holds well.
Your body's holding up.
I still want to play until I can. So it's good. I'm now eligible for the over 45s, but they tried to recruit me, but I'm staying with the young kids.
That's right. Yeah. So, exactly. So you're at 24. You've been playing. You kind of realised maybe you need to pivot. What were you thinking? It was always going to be software because that was your study, or?
So so when we came here, as I said, in Czech, I didn't work anywhere or for anything. So here I had to sort of stand out on our own feet. The first thing was to learn English, and then because my interest was always internet and multimedia and digital stuff, so I studied multimedia here, which is quite broad, but I was always very interested in the internet side of things. And so that's where I learned much more myself, just being curious about it, than actually at the school. And so I finished the multimedia degree, and then, as I said, I got a part-time job in a multimedia industry, small agency, then bigger agency, and slowly from building just websites, moved into the products. And it was always my passion. I knew that if I don't play football, I want to be involved in digital side of things. That it ends up being building products. I didn't know that time, but I knew computers, technology is my thing.
A lot of the clients and the contracts, and it was all kind of seemed to be heading that way for you, didn't it?
Yes.
I want to get into Properteasy in a second, but before we do that, because I think before AI was even around, like you were doing all this crazy stuff, and people, they know who you are around the world, because I used to see a lot of your posts.
Yeah, so I found this niche, I can't remember exactly, 7 or 8 years ago, where there was a lot of interest in making websites a little bit more dynamic when it comes to animations, and not just the brochure side where nothing moves. And I was more curious. I was curious about it too, so I started recording tutorials on web animations, and it sort of picked up around the world, and people started to follow me, and I was like, okay, I love what I'm doing. People like following it. So I ended up spinning up YouTube channel and courses around the web animations, which is very specific, very niche. But I think that's why it was so successful, that the more niched you are, the more focused you are, the more, if someone finds you, they think you are the guy for this, and
that's right.
So that's why
I did always see you were quite famous in this space.
I wouldn't say famous, but it is.
You've built up profile.
Yes, and the good thing was online, so it's not like I have to travel everywhere. I can work from anywhere I want to, and so I like the digital side of things.
Yeah, definitely.
That if you spin up a product or course, whatever it is, then people can find you from anywhere in the world.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. So. Let's talk about, back then there was no AI, there was nothing. Now, all that probably work you were doing in animations, you can probably put a prompt into Claude and get something similar.
Exactly.
So, you've had a lens across real estate, probably thanks to your wife's involvement in rent rolls and property management. But before we get to your startup, I want to talk about, everyone's talking AI, all this stuff, how it's going to work in real estate. Like, what's your take on this and the application of it? Because I don't think everyone's just testing and learning. No one's got it right. No one really knows how this stuff's going to play out. People don't want a prospecting call from a bot. No one's interested in that. No one wants to have that. Give me your
my
take
view
on
on
this,
AI.
mate. This is what I wanted you here for. So,
my view on AI, and of course it's here, so no one can deny that
and
it's
you're
not
in the
here.
real estate industry. This is what I'm interested in.
And so, but I feel like the real estate industry is a couple of years behind where the technology is. So when AI is, at the end of the day, it's a code. So our industry, the technology, the software developers, it was one of the first one to be hit by this as a boost to do more, but also if someone was just writing little code here and there, that is replaced now. So I feel like the AI just amplifies what you want to do with it. So if you want to be a great software engineer, AI can help you to do that. If you want to be lazy and just do the little bits, that is replaced. So the bottom jobs, the ones that are easy, they are automated these days. You write a prompt and that to fix a little defect there or here, that's already automated. But as I said, I think it will amplify what you want to do with the AI. So if you're curious, if you lean into it, if you want to learn how it works and apply it to your workflow, then you can 10x time your output, whatever it is. Yeah. The other disadvantage is because the AI spits out so much stuff, you need to review stuff when it comes to code, and that's now the bottleneck. Yeah. So AI generates a lot of code, and unless you are a vibe coder, which means you don't even look at the code, you just trust that it's doing what it should do.
Yeah.
You should review everything that goes into the production.
I mean, us layman people, we're all vibe coders, and that's the only way we can do it.
Yeah, and so I think in the right hands, it is a massive improvement of the workflow, streamlining things, and for that it's good. Of course, if it's in the bad hands and you just rely on the output and think that everything will be perfect, it can create mistakes, it can hallucinate, and so as I said, in a good hands, it's good. In a bad hands, it could cause a damage for a business and workflow.
And look, obviously the consumer awareness now around AI, like as an example, maybe a property manager or someone sends a letter that's been drafted by AI. Well, a consumer's that clued in now that they'll run that through a filter to see how much of that's AI, and they'll get annoyed with that.
Yeah.
So these things have got to be heavily edited and screened to make sure you're getting a message across and it's still coming from you as the human.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, and we'll get to some of this stuff in your business in a minute, the consumer might have a problem with the leaking tap, and they've gone and pulled out a full legal letter out of an AI platform, and just which is in some cases way overkill. Something that's just a standard maintenance matter. What's your take on that?
It's as I said, it's the AI in the wrong hands. Yeah. So but there is more and more renters that are tech savvy, and they of course know ChatGPT. Let's put it here. Let's reply to this PM like this, and it is a problem. So I see it even from Martina's side as a PM. She gets emails this long with details and links to any documents and
to the law,
regulations and of course it's written by AI, right? So you then, if you get this email and then you call that renter, you know that the way he talks is different the way he writes, and but it is a problem. So emails are longer for PMs to review. If PM is then lazy and just dumps it into ChatGPT and says reply to this, I feel that's a wrong AI use case, but it is current workflow that people just drafting it by AI from both sides.
Both sides, and then there's canned responses and hey, where's all the typos? Put some mistakes in there. Do something. But then
so
AI
I think
will do that for
comes
you.
back to the renter. Is it a good renter, or is it someone who just wants to make someone's life harder? And you can't deny that there will be always people like that. Hopefully you bring in the people in your business that don't do this, that they use the AI for the right thing. But yes, I know that it's quite annoying for PMs to receive this long email about something.
Yeah, for sure. You would have seen it firsthand. And so just in terms of the application in a real estate business, because there's obviously new companies popping up now. They all have the AI websites, and we'll be the one-stop shop for everything you need. But they've spun these things up on, I'm sure they've done some research, and I'm sure it's probably okay, but, is that the way it goes? Or from what you said before, is it more creating bespoke solutions for you and your business that rather than looking for these, we'll do everything for you type solutions?
I think there is definitely space for someone within the company, within the office, who is a tech savvy, like an operation manager or someone who is technical enough to use the AI tools to build internal tools that will help just the office. Yeah. So that is one use case where I think if you hire someone who is technical enough, who understands the flow within the office, they can build now tools just for the office. But when it comes to something that needs to be scalable and used across offices, across people, then or being sold as a product, then you need someone who understands how software works, who understands the risk and the privacy concerns and so on. So to build one single tool that does one thing for one office, it's achievable now through AI and all these tools. But to make a product that serves multiple companies, multiple people, it is harder, and you need someone with much more technical knowledge, not just, hey, give me a website or give me an app that does this. If you think that one prompt will build you software that you can sell to someone, then you're probably dreaming. You need someone with the background in the coding, so they know the edge cases. Yeah, so you can build something that does thing 80% of the time, but what about the first 10% and the last 10?
Yes,
that's when things break. That's people can't see what they should see, and so on. So the edge cases is what makes good software usable for more people and scalable.
Yeah,
and wipe coding is not the way to do it. It's,
so you're basically what you're saying is, you still need a human that's got a brain.
Yes.
A brain to...
For something that should be more scalable.
We haven't even spoken about cybersecurity yet, like the holes that would just come from some vibe coding thinking, oh, this is the be-all and end-all.
But as I said, the wipe coding, it's a mindset of, I'll type this prompt and I'll get some output. And if you don't understand what's behind it, it can work until specific time. But if it doesn't work, who is suffering from it? If it's just you as a person, then it's okay. It doesn't bother anyone else. But as long as there's more people involved and office operations, you want to make sure it works 100% of the time, not just 80 or 90% of the time. And if you just wipe code it and it doesn't work, and then you need to prompt it again to fix this or fix that. And so that's not how good software is built. Good software, 100% what the problem is, what you try to solve, and you in small features push it from all the way from the development to production, and you've got checks along the way where you review it, so whatever touches the end user is built, tested, and is ready to use, and nothing can break. You've got tests behind it and so on. But so that's how we build software that is scalable and grows with new agencies and users.
This is why people still need people like you that actually understand that at the foundation.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think we're going to stand up with a lot of crap out there.
Yes.
Now let's move on, because I want to talk about Properteasy, and I love this story because your wife Martine, your lovely wife Martine, has been working at Gary Peer for a long time now, and somehow those kind of worlds came together. Your intelligence and Martine's experience at the front end of being a property manager, and somehow you guys have had a meeting of the minds on this one.
Yeah, it was when I was still at Coles. I was sort of you come home from work, she comes home from work, and we talk about what happens. But the compliance was always on her mind, always something that she brought up in this discussion. And I was like, what is this compliance? What does it mean? And she started to talk about spreadsheets and logging here for different documents and dates and scheduling and so on. So compliance was always something she brought up in a negative way. And I was like, so if there was something simpler to use or something that simplified your workflow, what it would look like.
Did you guys start doing this after the legislation changes with all the new rules?
I think we started.
It
was after so when the safety checks were already legislated and regulated.
So there was a clear problem that you could solve and potentially track.
Yes.
Because as you know, it affects the rental provider because they get big fines if they're not sticking to the law.
Yeah.
So it was after that.
So it was after that, and of course they had a workflow, spreadsheets, and reminders in a CRM, but it wasn't seamless enough, and she didn't know exactly how she would do an audit on all her properties. She wouldn't know where to start, and it was bothering her because as a good
And
property
probably
managers,
data was everywhere, right? It's just scattered
they
spreadsheets.
wanted to know exactly. You give them a checklist and they go through it when they have the workflow. But if it's scattered across different places and you work with this provider specific way, with this supplier specific way, then they need to switch the context. And of course, with these many new requirements for the legislation, the dates they need to keep track of, the documents they need to store somewhere, it became an issue. And so that's when we, as I said, we started building it from scratch, exactly knowing what she needs, and we iterated on it very quickly. So that helped us to build something that we know how PMs work, and we know what it should look like when it's without any headaches.
Was the vision there then, or was it just about helping Martine out?
That was the first step, help
Just let me
her.
help.
And
Let me
only
make
after that, when she showed other people and they said, oh, why am I still using spreadsheet? This is much easier to digest and schedule and so on. So it evolved from there. It was not, we didn't start writing a code to let's build a product or let's start a business. It was me just working my full-time job and along the side helping her to do it better, do it easier. And it evolved on its own.
Yeah, gotcha. So for you, what was it like? Because you have been a software developer for a long time and you do a lot of contract work. But you've gone from that to a co-founder, I guess.
Yep.
What's that been like?
Of course, it's a switch. It's a different mindset, and you're then responsible for the growth. So you wake up in the morning and you don't. When you work at some contract big company, you always get the features lined up. And then you go to work and you pick one feature, develop it, submit it, and so on. So, but as a founder, you need to break it down into what features do we want to work on, what actually the users need. Yeah, it doesn't end. It's 24/7, and you're always constantly filtering through the backlog, prioritizing what to do next, and so on. But even when I was at Coles, I was at the meetings where we were breaking down complex workflows and integrations and breaking it down into small pieces. And it wasn't necessarily my job. I was a developer, but I was in the meetings with the business analysts, and so I was helping them to break it down, which helped me now on Properteasy to really look at the workflow and break it down into small bits, achievable small tasks. And so I feel like the experience from a huge corporation like Coles helped me to break down compliance workflow into small bits and develop it one thing at a time. Yeah,
definitely. So with Properteasy, and obviously I think, the PMEs and the Inspect Real Estate, they're all probably caught up in a lot of ways. What's the differentiation point for Properteasy? What would you, I know we're going to catch up with you next week and we'll probably get a couple of those fired at you, but what do you see as your...
core difference between us and the actual CRM?
What do you think? What is it?
So in terms of the CRMs and their compliance management, it's one feature out of 20, let's say. They need to do the inspections, they need to do the tenancies, they need to do the signing of documents. So there is a lot CRM needs to do for the PM to be helpful from start to finish, right? They need to be the accounting and trust accounting and so on. So there is a lot that the CRM needs to do. And of course, compliance is just one part of it. And
so fair to say you do that one thing.
We do that one thing better than anyone. That it's streamlined. Doesn't matter who you work with. One provider, 10 providers.
Because you've got
same
integrations
workflow.
now with all these every single one.
We don't have with all of them, but we're working on integrating with all of them. And what's missing in these CRMs that the PM sends the job and then receives the job back when it's completed with the PDF. So their inbox is full of documents that they need to open, download, review, get the dates, maybe write it on a piece of paper, update it somewhere. So that's what we try to mitigate. And now we're integrating suppliers' tools. So when supplier completes the job in their system, it flows all the way. So there is no download, upload.
Automation
it just completely skips the inbox.
And you built all that yourself pretty much, haven't
Yes, myself plus people that I brought in when
I... Do you use people, anyone overseas?
No, it's definitely all of it's in onshore. And of course we use AI to build it. Yes, so that's we're not hiding that. No. But it's not vibe coded. It's not a weekend project, as you know.
You're the person that's looking over end to end.
Correct.
I think it's exciting. I think you have really solved a problem in that space. And I think.
But as I told you offline before, so good software is never finished. So it's not like it's been done, and so we constantly iterate on it, constantly listening for the feedback from the suppliers, from the PMs, and yeah, as I said, it does much more streamlined today than it did a year ago, and in a year ago it will be in a different space as well.
Yeah. So what does with Properteasy, what does success look like for you guys over the next, I guess, 3 to 5 years? Like,
we want to grow and influence or help as many agencies as we can, and because the Victorian rules are the strictest, and a couple more adjustments to it are coming up in 2027.
Yeah. So you're just focused on Victoria.
At the moment, we have a little client base in Queensland as well when it comes to smoke alarm, automatic job dispatching when the tenancy date changes. But our main primary objective is Victoria, because here the rules are the strictest. And here we're streamlining it, working with the suppliers to streamline their workflow and operations. And of course the PM side, which is now running really smoothly because it's been the first one that was built. But after talking to the suppliers, we know that there is some streamlining that we can help them as well. And so we want to help the whole flow from end to end.
Yeah. And in terms of market share, obviously you start with not a single customer, and you're obviously in it for the long term. Is acquisition a part of that journey for you, or you just?
If ever someone knocks on the door and says, "Look, I'm never saying no to anything," so we open to everything. But it's everything. Everything's bootstrapped, so we put heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
And as I said, what's our advantage is knowing 100% what the issue is and what the workflow is. So I spend a lot of time in the office and working with different PMs and just understanding how they work and how much technology they use or not. Some of them can't even copy and paste. They write everything on a piece of paper. Yeah. So we have to be mindful of that too, not to over-engineer it, not to make like for technology people, because at the end of the day, PMs they use computer just to get the job done. And
but it's a very detailed role, isn't it?
It is.
It's administrative heavy.
There is a lot of admin, a lot of emails, a lot of reviewing documents, and we try to skip the inbox and extract from the documents and emails what they need to action on, and whatever they're not, we just filing it away where it belongs.
Well, it's exciting. We're looking forward to getting a look at it, because I know it's grown a lot since then. So. I know you recently, off topic here, but I know you recently sold your house with Martine, and how was that process for you, like going through the auction? And I know we spoke a little bit along the way, and
it was pretty smooth, to be honest. Like we had 3 agents coming through. Picked up one mostly based on the local knowledge, because that's what we thought that would help us to get the best value. And in terms of technology, we didn't really use many technology things along the way. It was purely emails or WhatsApp group and signing some documents. But in terms of technology from a seller, we didn't need anything. We didn't need. So it was run from their side. Yeah, that's right. And as I said, it ran pretty smooth, and we got pretty good outcomes that we're happy with. So we're very happy with the progress. So definitely I don't want to name the brand, and
that's all right.
but it was smooth, but I was surprised how little technology or software we were using as the buyer.
It's still
as the seller. Yes,
there's still a huge human element, isn't
and we called the agent, we spoke to him, had a few coffee chats, and that's when we decided. So that was not. We didn't use AI for anything in this flow. It was very offline.
No, we had a couple of kind of chats, just kind of off-record stuff. I said, look, I think you're going the right way with it. And so obviously it went well, which is good to.
I don't know what I would do if someone calls me, like you saying that someone uses the calling as an AI agent. Someone calls you and just the voice. I don't know how would I open up as much as seeing and eye-to-eye contact with someone? Probably not. And I hate it. Even like. This is a little bit off topic. The social media, to everything to be AI generated, AI scripted, AI images. It's all I feel like it's more fake. At the end of the day, you will end up spinning some AI agent that just goes through it and brings you only the important stuff.
That's right. Sometimes I feel like LinkedIn's a ghost town.
It just loses the social media part of it. I want to see the behind the scenes. I want to see what they do on a day off or when the camera is not rolling. I think that's when people relate to. So if I would give advice to some sellers or buyers or the PM side of it, show the real stuff behind the scenes to build the trust, to build something that I can say, oh yeah, I want to work with this agency, whether it's renting through them or buying or selling. I just feel like the behind the scenes is what will make the difference, because everyone can just search Google, get the AI overview of what this agent is like. But at the end of the day, it's about the outcome, the results, and how you trust that person. So I think hiding behind some slides and behind 10 swiping thingies that was done probably in 10 seconds in Canva, I just feel the raw stuff is what makes the difference between agents.
Yeah. I think that's the human side. I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
I hope not. Yeah.
Like just a few quick questions here, just to for someone starting out their career, a young person, whether it be as an agent or getting into software and trying to build things as an entrepreneur, what advice would you give a person?
I think. And I'll take it even.
And you got 2 kids.
To give my, if I was giving advice to my kids, if they would ever listen, is to be curious.
Yeah.
Like you can't really, like no one shaped me to what I am today or what I'm curious about or passionate about. Yeah. It's just, what do you spend the time off with? Do you read stuff? Do you tinker with this? Do you build something? Maybe start with vibe coding and so on. So you only be as good as something as you are curious about it.
Yes.
Yeah? So if you want to dive into real estate, of course, hanging out with the right people and maybe starting in the admin and sort of work your way that way. But you have to be curious. You can't just sit there and do nothing. You have to always... What do you do when no one's watching?
No.
If is the director away or your operations manager or whoever is away, what do? You just scrolling through stuff that makes progress, or are you genuinely curious about progressing to the next stage? So being curious is one thing that I would always want to pass to my kids and the young generation, because no one pours the knowledge in your head. No one's gonna tell you, hey, you learn this and you become this. It's this thing you do when no one's watching that will get you somewhere or get you nowhere. Yeah.
I think that's really great advice.
Thanks.
Curiosity. Best piece of advice you've ever received? Probably many pieces of advice by now.
It depends from which sort of area. But in terms of building product, always listen to the customer. Or always listen to, even if you have 1 or 2 customers, just spend more time with them. Understand the problem deeper. Not just the surface, but go deeper. Where you log in, what do you do? Like really understanding the core of the problem then helps you to build better product for them.
Yep, fantastic. Great answer. What's one thing you would do differently if you had to start again?
That's a tough question. I don't think... I actually enjoy the journey. So I know you start somewhere and it's never perfect, but you never know what you don't know. So I wouldn't change it. I'm enjoying the journey and discovering the different bits we can help with. And so I always look, whatever happened to me before or wherever I was with the product, I just take it what it was, and it's constant learning. And of course we did mistakes. We heard a lot of no's from directors and operations managers, but all the no's we just took down and we said, okay, if they say no to this, how can we remove that objection? So never take no for granted or for what it is, or it's always turn no into it's not now, and why is it not now, and what it would be yes next time. And so that's probably what I would do.
I think it's great. If you wouldn't change anything, that's part of it. And you've probably answered this last question here, and that is, what does success look like for you now? It's probably going to be the journey. But
journey, but I think I mentioned it. So we just want to grow to help as many agents and agencies in Victoria specifically, and so that's the goal. We have, of course, some numbers as a target, and working day by day, 24/7 to achieve it.
Fantastic, mate. Well, Peter, look, we really appreciate your time. What stands out is your practical nature and what you're building. I think it's meaningful and it's helping real estate and property managers with their daily work. You're not just talking about technology, you're actually solving real problems. And I think that's the experience that you've got, and that you're able to see a lot further in front than just coding.
Cool.
So, mate, thanks for being
Thanks for having me. It's been great. Pleasure.
Really excited, and we're really to watch the Properteasy journey coming up. And I know you're coming back here next week, so we look forward to seeing it.
Let's talk next week.
If you'd like to follow, watch, or like the podcast, please tune in and you'll be able to see Peter on the podcast real soon. Thanks for joining.